Module 14, the respiratory system. Review of cellular respiration. Because the process of cellular respiration is such a detailed one, it's a good idea to look at it from several ways. I explained it to you first in a step-by-step detailed way. Then in that last video, you saw an overview of the 4 stages I covered. Now let's take another look at it following the diagram in your book. In Figure 1410, the first section is Stage 1, or glycolysis. Remember, this stage occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. It begins with glucose, which is converted first to fructose diphosphate and then to PGAL. It takes a starter bit of 2 ATPs of energy, like a match starting a fire, to begin this process. Next, the PGAL loses some hydrogen atoms to NAD+ in order to make 2 pyruvate molecules. Now you have 2 energy-rich NADH molecules. This process also releases enough energy to produce 4 ATPs. So this stage gives you a net 2 ATPs because it took 2 to get started. It also produced 2 NADHs, which will move to the matrix of the mitochondrion to take place in the electron transport system. In the second stage, the oxidation of pyruvate, the 2 pyruvate molecules formed during glycolysis move to a mitochondrion and become 2 acetyl coenzyme A molecules. To do this, they lose 2 hydrogens to 2 NAD+ molecules, forming 2 energy-rich NADH molecules that will also take part in the electron transport system. Additionally, 2 carbon dioxide molecules are made. Notice that this is the only stage that does not produce ATP, but its net products are the 2 carbon dioxide and 2 NADH molecules. The third stage is the citric acid cycle. You can see a circular pathway, thus illustrating that it's a true cycle. It begins with the 2 acetyl coenzyme A's from the previous stage. They react with oxaloacetic acid to form citric acid. Then there are a series of reactions that eventually form oxaloacetic acid again, so it can react with new acetyl coenzyme A's again. That series of reactions results in 6 NAD+ molecules forming 6 energy-rich NADH molecules, along with 2 FAD molecules turning into FADH2 molecules. These molecules will take part in the electron transport system. In this third step, 2 ATP molecules are formed as well as 4 carbon dioxide molecules. The last stage of cellular respiration is the electron transport chain. It requires the energy-rich NADH and FADH2 molecules made in the previous 3 stages. They will release the electrons and hydrogen ions that were collected so that NAD+ and FAD can be used again. The electrons released then travel down the electron transport chain, releasing enough energy to produce a total of 32 ATPs via the process of oxidative phosphorylation. This fancy name just means that another phosphate group is added to adenosine diphosphate to result in adenosine triphosphate. At the end of the chain, the electrons will react with oxygen and hydrogen ions to form 6 water molecules. Thus, the net products of this stage are 32 ATPs and 6 water molecules. Can you see why the term for respiration has to do with breathing as well as cellular energy production? The lungs take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Well, that carbon dioxide results as a waste product of the processing of glucose in the cells for energy. We need the oxygen we take in for the electron transport chain. Those electrons moving along the chain of 7 carrier molecules finally get to the end at the inner membrane of the mitochondrion. They have to be removed, and they do this by combining with oxygen. Then, when the hydrogens combine with the oxygen, that forms water, which is a useful part of the cell's cytoplasm. In fact, about 10% of the water in our bodies is made from hydrogen from the foods we eat. Now, that's a good summary of aerobic cellular respiration. But what happens during anaerobic metabolism, when there's no oxygen present? You see, some cells can perform anaerobic cellular respiration, undergoing just the first stage of cellular respiration, glycolysis. This is an inefficient way to produce energy because it only nets you 2 ATPs, and the pyruvate that results becomes lactic acid. But lactic acid buildup has to be removed from the body because it can be toxic. Back in Module 5, you learned that muscles can undergo anaerobic respiration if there isn't lots of oxygen present. That can happen when you're exercising for long periods of time. It's not the most efficient way to provide energy, but it's a good plan B. Your body truly is amazing in its ability to still provide energy when you need it to.